Have you ever experienced losing your pet? If so, you know how difficult the journey is afterward. We often struggle to find any sort of peace again in our lives. Hi, I'm Tami Hendrix. I'm an animal communicator, medium, and healer. Welcome to my channel. I'm glad you're here. Today, I felt guided to share some insights and tips to help you find your way back to peace after having lost your pet. When we're faced with any loss, human or animal, one of the first things we feel is a sense of disconnect because that being's no longer in our lives. And in that moment, our deepest longing becomes our greatest need. Death of our pet brings us face to face with how precious life really is. It brings us face to face with ourselves. Pets in particular play a huge role in our lives, from companions who keep us from feeling lonely, to emotional support in difficult times, to making us feel safe and loved. Life just makes more sense when they're here. In the world's challenges we're currently facing, everything can seem like it's falling apart. At least our pets keep us connected to our hearts, which grounds us in our bodies in present time. Otherwise, we'd be floating off in space, not tethered to anything. In a way, that's exactly what their death can feel like. Not anchored in, not connected to anything, not belonging anywhere. So when they're gone, one of the first things that makes its exit is any sense of peace we might have felt when they are here. Being at peace is often described as, say, a state of calmness and tranquility. Some people have told me they just feel at home with themselves. I think that's a great description for how we feel with our pets, don't you? Being at peace can feel like emotional balance, sense of harmony, free from any overwhelming negative emotions like anger, fear, or sadness. When we're at peace, we have clarity of mind. Our thoughts feel clearer. They're unclouded. We don't have the worry we normally do or like the excessive chatter with our minds. And acceptance, feeling okay with whatever has happened. The circumstance that can't be changed, but we feel that without resistance. Gratitude, a profound appreciation for life, the present moment, or even the smallest of things. And I think our bodies relax too. The body feels light, relaxed, and free from any tension or stress. I think with being at peace, there's also a sense of contentment, a quiet sense of fulfillment, even if life isn't perfect. Do you resonate with any of these characteristics of being at peace? But what if we don't feel at peace with the passing of our pet? What happens then? Emotional turmoil, feelings of sadness or anger or even confusion, creating a sense of internal chaos. Guilt or regret, thoughts of, did I do enough? What if I'd done something differently? Often create self-doubt. Unresolved attachment, a longing to hold on to the past or a feeling that the bond with your pet is somehow incomplete. This may look like a refusing to let go of the relationship, a holding it in place, which brings indefinite discomfort and unhappiness. What is? That's a definition of suffering. Disconnected from self, a sense of being lost, as if part of your identity or life purpose has been taken away or shifted. Absence of closure, struggling to find meaning or acceptance, your pet's passing, leaving an open wound. Spiritual void, it may feel like a disconnect from your belief system or the inability to trust in the natural flow of life. Do any of you recognize these feelings? I can raise my hand and say I have and do feel that sometimes. I'd love to hear in the comments, when we resist letting go and cling to control, blame of ourselves or others, or the need for a specific outcome, we suffer. We might yearn for peace, stuck in a cycle of unresolved emotions. Our hearts want to heal, but our minds keep reopening those emotional wounds. That resistance shows up in the stories we tell about what happened. When things don't go the way we think they should have, we often compare it to an ideal version in our minds. For instance, if the pet's death is sudden or falls outside of the natural order of things, like a young puppy's passing, it scrambles and threatens our sense of order and fairness. It just doesn't make sense. After all, we have certain ideas in our minds of how things should be, often without realizing we do. This reminds me of a client who lost her dog in a very tragic way, and she simply couldn't come to terms with it. She kept telling me that his death shouldn't have occurred in the way it did, and it shouldn't have occurred at all, and wouldn't have if she had been there. She was angry at the pet sitter for not watching him closely enough. And most of all, she was angry at herself and blamed herself completely for his untimely death. She was so convinced of what she thought should have happened that she was completely unable to hear what her pet was trying to tell her. What he said in this reading was, this was part of our soul path together. He told her that he had come to help her learn the lesson of self-forgiveness, something she had always struggled with. He didn't blame her for anything, he told her. Quite the opposite. He shared how grateful he was for the time that he had had with her, and that he had come to learn about being loved unconditionally and having a mom. Unfortunately, she couldn't hear him at all. And she left the reading stating she'd never forgive the pet sitter and she was going to take her to court. Well, she did. And she did win some compensation in court, which gave her enough money to buy another puppy. But she emailed me later, and she shared that she wasn't any happier and that her heart was still quite broken. And she thought it had changed her forever. She would never get over it. There's a hidden order underneath life's circumstances. There is more than what meets the eye, just like her dog was trying to show her. So she would grow by forgiving herself, which sadly she never did. You just have to be willing to look for it. One of the most powerful statements you can make is, I am willing to see another perspective. Now that admits that yours is not the only one. That also means you don't have conditions to what will be shown to you. You're willing to see the truth of the situation and not just your select perspective. Truth is not either or, but an and. So one of the first steps toward peace is to be open to the possibility of it still being there. When we're convinced of something that is not there, we block any chance of seeing it at all. Every relationship involves gifts that we share with one another. When that relationship ends, we can often lose sight of this in light of our grief, which robs us of our peace. For healing and peace to even enter the room of your heart, you have to get to the place of, I don't want to feel like this anymore. I have got to find another way of looking at this. You've got to be at the point where you're ready. Are you currently at that point in your life? Are you ready to look at your pet's loss differently? Or are you stuck like my client was in your belief about it being wrong? It's just good to know, how open are you? Are you the least bit curious to see if there is something you may have overlooked? Would your peace be worth opening your mind for? Because of the many losses I've experienced with animals and humans, I've been forced to reach for more. to break my pattern of resisting, contracting, and reacting unconsciously to loss. And what I discovered is there are gifts in every circumstance, no matter what. And that includes the loss of a pet. So whenever loss occurs in my life, part of my healing includes looking for the treasures and the gifts. I start looking immediately. It's hard to, but I know they're there. I just have to find them. An interesting tip: they are hidden in plain sight. They are hidden in your heart. This practice, more than any other, has helped me stay connected to my heart during times of great loss and pain, and to life. I don't shut down. Finding the gifts, no matter what, brings our hearts to a kinder space, a gentler one, a peaceful one. The circumstances haven't changed, but your perspective has. I love this quote by Rilke. Love and death are the great gifts that are given to us. Mostly, they are passed on unopened.
Yes.
Don't let grief keep you from discovering the many gifts your pet gave you. Go on a treasure hunt. Ask your pet to help you find the gifts in this circumstance. Tell them you're struggling with that. The gifts they gave you in their life with you. And gifts come in many forms. So don't overlook them. Look specifically for something. And for heaven's sake, don't throw them away. Your pets will be more than happy to help. To get started on your path to peace, here's a few questions to ask yourself. Think about your relationship with your pet. What did your pet teach you about yourself? Have you ever thought about it that way? What lessons have you learned because of this experience? How did your pet change you? What qualities did they bring out in you? Ones that you wouldn't have otherwise. Is your heart more open? How have you transformed because of this experience? Who are you because of this experience? Because I can guarantee you are different from having been with them. Here's another one. How would your pet want you to remember them? What do you want others to know about your pet? What made them special? These are just a few suggestions to get you started. But I bet that once you get going in this direction, even though your heart may be hurting, you will have so many to list that your heart will fill with so much love that you will know that you haven't lost your pet after all. And again, while you can't change the circumstance or bring them back, you can have a willingness to open and receive the gifts they've shared, which heals your heart by putting you on the path to peace. Thank you for taking time to watch this video. I've enjoyed talking to everyone here and discussing questions in the comment section. We talk about what matters most, our beloved pets, and how they impact our lives. If you're struggling to find peace right now, or ready to heal your broken heart, or you simply want to connect more deeply with your pet, I would absolutely love to work with you. Right now, until December 8th, I'm giving my YouTube viewers a special discount on one-to-one soul readings with me using the code YouTube. All the details are in the description and pinned comments below. It's for a limited time, so book soon. I'll be back next week to share more messages from the animals. Hope to see you there.